Last video, we discussed a little bit about what it means when Jesus says this in Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 through 30. He says, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." Now, the last video, the emphasis was on Jesus' burden being light, his heavy being light. But today I want us to briefly explore what it means to be yoked, to be tied to something, to pull something through this life. Because as a reminder, a yoke is a wooden beam that is placed across the shoulders of an animal to pull a plow or maybe pull a wagon, or maybe even strapped to another animal. Now that you know that, rethink of what Jesus says when he says, "My yoke is easy." Well, a couple things is one, it implies that there are many things in this life that you're yoked to that are difficult. And second, that there's always something to pull through this life. And as I thought about that for a moment, I came to this realization that many times in life we're yoked to what isn't easy, what is at least mildly difficult or fully difficult. I'm yoked to something that is weighing me down. I'm pulling what is in the way of what God has for me, or is it inhibiting me from discovering all that God has for me? And maybe you are too. You see, what people are often strapped with and are wearily dragging through life are a litany of things. I know this. I know it's not easy to be strapped to and pulling unforgiveness through this life. I know it's not easy to be strapped to and pulling hatred through this life. I know it's not easy to be strapped to and pulling resentment or shame, guilt, or even a terrible attitude through this life. That is all very difficult. They're all difficult to pull. Now, the problem that you may have, though, is this. You have pulled one of those things for so long, you don't even realize it's difficult. You just think it's your normal. You've been yoked to it for so long. But then again, on the other hand, Jesus says his yoke is easy. Now, let me just caution you. Easy does not mean perfect and everything goes your way, but easy does mean you now pull a heart cleansed of sin, guilt, and shame. Easy does mean that you're set free from who you were and all that baggage. Easy does mean that you don't pull the weight of resentment, anger, or hatred, or anything like that any longer. You get to leave all of that behind. You see, when you trust Jesus with your life and you choose to follow him, make one more choice. And that choice is this: to put down the difficult thing that you've been pulling, the difficult thing that you've been yoked to, and take up the easy yoke of Jesus. It's a whole new manner in which you move through this life, which brings freedom, hope, peace, and joy. For this is why Jesus says that you will find rest for your souls when you take up his easy yoke.